If you attended Andrews University, would you stand, please?
Hello, everybody.
Be seated. Thank you.
Hello. My name is James Dunson Jones. And let me explain that. I bet y'all didn't know that Stan had another brother. Well, here I am. Me and Stan go way back. And I know he has two sons. Just call me Uncle James, okay? Because Stan is my brother. And for everybody that Stan, if he worked on your cars and he did a good job, he got me to thank. You know why? You know why? We were suite mates at Andrews. We took auto mechanics together. And everybody knows how competitive Stan was, right? Okay? I had a hot rod and he had a hot rod. I think everybody's probably seen his Charger. And I would do something to my car, he would do something to his, and then we would compare each other's notes. Maybe my car was a little faster than his. And we would just go back and forth. I mean, I had a love of cars, he had a love of cars. If my car was faster than his, and he would do something in his car and make his car faster. And then we would race each other around the parking lot and side streets of Andrews. Okay, Andrews had a big circular lot, and we would race each other. But he was the reason why you got your cars fixed, because he was always a good mechanic. But after he met me, he became a great mechanic. But there's something, I mean, it was destiny that brought me in the same path with Stanley. And I think a lot of you guys may have not known this, but I played the organ. I was a martial artist. And of course, Stan had the same interest, but where I was okay, he was great. And that special thing about Stanley was that he was, everybody that was at Andrews, I think you knew Stan and the boys. We were a crew and we would hang out. Well, believe it or not, Stan was the leader. He had this self-confidence about him, and he was the person, or he was the glue that kept us together. And for that, it just made me a better person, And if you ever knew Stan, he was a caring person. And he had this certain air about him, He thought he was hard, If you ever seen him, he would go around and he would strut his stuff, and you look at him and you almost be afraid of him. But he was a little pussycat, really, And we would sit around and talk. We would talk for hours about cars, life, family. And he was, and you know what, I'm getting ready to get all choked up here. But I was a single child. I didn't have a brother. He was my brother. I miss him dearly. And before I start crying, anybody that knew him would think of him as your brother or your sister. I mean, a family member. And that's how he was. And I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss him dearly. And I will see him again. I guess we all see him again. But there's no replacing Stan. was just a wonderful person. And with that, I'm gonna step aside and let Bernard take over.
Thanks. I'm Renard Jones. And 47 years ago, on the campus of Andrews University, Charles, Dale, David, James, Stan, and I formed a bond that has lasted through time. And I met Stan, my closest friend and confidant, my brother from another mother. And we spent a lot of time together. We took a cross-country road trip and spent weeks seeing all the country. And that was a wonderful time and experience. I want to share one thing from Andrews University in those days, and that is Stan had a vision, and one day he wanted to have a student-led and directed Black rendition of the Messiah. And so he was taking care of the music, and my role was to find a sponsor and the venue. And my task proved to be daunting, much more so than I thought it would be. And I started with Black faculty members first, and they would ask me, well, what do you want to do? I said, the Messiah. So you're having issues about being a sponsor for the Messiah? The Messiah. Yeah, and I'm incredulous. I ended up talking to professors who knew both of us well, who we had a good reputation with, but all of them were reluctant to sign up as a sponsor. And so one day, Stan was practicing in Pioneer Memorial Church, the campus church on the Oregon. And I was turning pages for him. And he had just finished the set, and he finished, and there was someone standing in the back. And they said that, oh my goodness, when I heard the play, I knew it was you. Because every time you play, it gives me a taste of what heaven is going to be like. And I knew that was you. And so I shared that we were having difficulty finding a sponsor for the Messiah. And she said, stop by my office tomorrow. And I said, well, where's your office? Because I didn't know who she was. And I stopped by her office the next day. And when I got there, she gave me a letter. And the letter was signed with the pastor's signature because she was the church secretary. We had a venue and a sponsor, just like that. And the thing is, I don't remember her name, but the good and the kindness that she showed and those words that she shared are the same conversation that Stan and I had just before he passed, and that is that I'll see you again in heaven, and I hope you're all there also.